Good evening, everyone. It's 6 p.m. and it's time to call to order this meeting of the Gallatin City Council for November 19th, 2019. We'll begin this meeting like we do each meeting with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. This evening, our city engineer, Nick Tuttle, is going to pray for us, and then the pledge will be led by Councilman Fennell. If you'll stand with me, please.
Pray with me. Father, thank you so much for allowing us to gather and discuss business that concerns thousands and thousands of people. Lord, I pray that you would be amongst us, that you would be with us as we plan, as we deliberate, as we speak, as we listen, and Lord, that you would provide wisdom. And Lord, I pray that the decisions that are made please you, and that this community continues to grow and thrive under your leadership. We love you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Face flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Kidwell, if you would call the roll for us, please.
Vice Mayor Camp.
Present.
Mr. Alexander.
Present.
Mr. Fan. Mr. Fennell.
Here.
Mr. Hayes.
Present.
Ms. Love. Here. Mr. Overton.
Present.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the November 5th, 2019 City Council meeting. We have a motion to approve by Councilman Overton, a second by, who was that over here? Councilman Alexander. Are there any corrections or additions? I look to Ms. Love. Seeing none, all in favor of approving those minutes say aye. Opposed say no. Minutes are approved unanimously. While the next item on the agenda is public recognition, I'm going to ask with this council's permission that we move ahead with two agenda items. One, I have a one's not really an agenda item, but I have a proclamation I'd like to present. And then secondly, I would like for us to do the HR. I don't even know what item that is, but it's the very last one, so it would be...
No, it's 13.
13. Okay, item number 13. I'd like to move that up before public comment. We do have our experts here. They've been here all afternoon, and the candidates are here. So if we can move that up before public recognition, I would appreciate that. But I'll begin with a proclamation, and this is for Small Business Saturday. I'm going to ask Kim Baker with the Gallatin Chamber and her guests to join us, and also Councilman Overton as the chairman of that organization to join me at the podium. And I'd be so disappointed if you didn't come with props. Y'all get up here with me. So, Small Business Saturday, I remember the first year that American Express did it, and Gallatin participated that very first year, and we were proud that they did. And it continues these days. And so this is a proclamation recognizing Small Business Saturday and its importance to the city of Gallatin. So I'm going to read it, and I'll read it quickly. This says, whereas the government of Gallatin, Tennessee celebrates our local small businesses and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are 30.7 million small businesses in the United States, representing 99.7% of all firms with paid employees in the United States, and are responsible for 64.9% of net new jobs created from 2000 to 2018. Whereas small businesses employ 47.3% of the employees in the private sector in the United States, and whereas 94% of consumers in the United States value the contributions small businesses make in their community, and whereas 96% of consumers who plan to shop on Small Business Saturday said the day inspires them to go to small, independently owned retailers or restaurants that they have not been to before or would have not otherwise tried, and whereas 92% of companies planning promotions on Small Business Saturday said the day helps their business stand out during the busy holiday shopping season, and whereas 59% of small business owners said Small Business Saturday contributes significantly to their holiday sales each year, and whereas Gallatin, Tennessee supports our local businesses that provide jobs, boost our local economy, and preserve our neighborhoods, create community character, and provide important amenities for our citizens, And whereas advocacy groups as well as public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore I, Paige Brown, Mayor of the City of Gallatin, do hereby proclaim that November 30th, 2019 is Small Business Saturday. And I urge our residents and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants both on Small Business Saturday and throughout the whole year. So a huge thank you to Gallatin Chamber for all you do to help promote Small Business Saturday and all of our local businesses in general, because you make a difference. And we certainly do want everyone's shopping local and shopping small during this holiday season. So anything you'd like to add?
I will add one thing.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Brown and Council and the City of Gallatin for always being so supportive of our small business community is strong and well here in Gallatin. This year, for the first year, we are hosting the Small Business Stop-In on Small Business Saturday. Shop Small Stop-In. That's a lot of words. Shop Small Stop-In on Small Business Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. You can come by our office, and the first 1 to 200 folks will get a Shop Small bag stuffed with items. We'll be giving out cash and gift cards to local retailers. So stop by and shop small this holiday season.
What a great addition. Let's take a picture.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank you all. And so now we're going to move on to item number 13 on the agenda. And for this, I'm going to recognize Vice Mayor Camp, and then Ms. Johnson will come forward.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution appointing
Someone.
someone, I was gonna say blank, as Director of Human Services and establish an initial salary. So moved.
Motion by Vice Mayor Camp, second by Councilwoman Love, and welcome to the podium, Ms. Johnson, and you will give us further direction.
Yes, you had before you a resolution tonight. As the mayor told you earlier, we did have the expert panel that met this afternoon. They are here tonight: George Dalton from Public Entities Partner, Richard Stokes from MTAS, Susan High McCauley, Rachel Nichols, and Chief Don Bandy, and myself. After the interviews conducted with the 4 candidates tonight, it was a unanimous recommendation on our behalf for Ms. Connie Flood. Connie Flood, if you're here tonight, you may want to stand. Thank you. So at this time, I'd like to ask the council to vote on that recommendation, to move it forward, to help me further negotiate the salary and appointment with Ms. Flood, if so approved.
And that's how we've done it before in this process. And while this does have the initial salary as part of it, I think that we need to, well, and also within the range that it was posted at, which you're aware of. And if the council is not ready to vote on that, you may defer as well. But if you are ready to move forward, you have a motion and a second, and we're open now for discussion.
I'll make a motion that we,
You already have a motion and a second, so
Sorry.
I guess you fill in the name.
Yeah.
You amend it with filling in the name. Okay,
that we take the recommendation, Ms. Flood.
okay. By Councilman Overton, and a second? And a second by Councilman Fennell. Any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye. Opposed? And then back to the original motion, which would be to appoint her as Director of Human Resources, or I think probably the more common thing would be to extend the job offer and negotiate salary. Right? Isn't that fine? Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Are they going to amend it and not fill that blank in tonight?
Are you going to fill, that's where I'm challenged, because it does have in there the initial salary in the resolution.
They
So,
could amend to allow her to,
thank you.
you can amend to allow the current HR director to negotiate that within the range, if that is your preference.
That'll be my amendment.
Okay, second amendment by Councilman Overton, second by Councilman Alexander. All right, all in favor of that amendment, say aye. Opposed, say no. Okay, so we are back to the now twice amended motion, which extends an offer to Ms. Flood and allows HR director to negotiate a salary. With that, any discussion? Okay, this is Resolution R1911-61 as amended. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Congratulations, Ms. Flood. We look forward to speaking with you and working with you. So,
Thank you so much, Council.
thank you. Now, we will move, and I appreciate those of you who are here this evening. I appreciate your patience on that, but like I said, we had some folks from different parts of the state that have been here all day, and we'd like to get them able to hit the road. So thank you for your patience with that. We will now move forward to public recognition on agenda-related items. This is the time of the meeting where people can come forward to address items that are on the agenda. I do ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. Remember that we don't mention any individuals when we're making public comment. And because several of the items that are on the agenda tonight have been mentioned and discussed several times, I would encourage you to bring new information to us or different perspectives, because we've certainly heard lots to this point, particularly on one issue, and welcome new perspectives or comments, certainly. And at the end of the meeting, you'll have a second chance for public comment, and that's for items that are not on the agenda. When you come forward, you introduce yourself, give us your address, and I'd ask that you line up over here so that we do not lose track of who is waiting to speak. So thank you very much. With that, we'll begin public comment with Ms. Javance.
Thank you, Mayor. Michelle Juvance, 1335 Long Hollow Pike. I'm actually just going to read a letter that Pascal gave me to read tonight about the Meadows because he was not able to come and asked me to read this. And so he timed it at 5 minutes, and I'm going to try to read it fast enough, so hopefully I'll get through in time. But I really, first, before I started reading this, I wanted to tell all of you thank you so much for, again, thank you for not raising our property taxes. We got our property tax bill in the mail last week, didn't we? And the county really socked it to us, and you all did the right thing. And I know a lot of people complain a lot about a lot of things, and I don't know if a lot of people come back and tell you thank you, but I want to let you know that we noticed and we are grateful. So thank you very much. So anyway, I'm going to start reading Pascal's letter. My name is Pascal Juvance. I live at 1335 Long Hollow Pike, and I approve this message. Passing over Los Angeles this morning at 20,000 feet and looking at all the little squares below me, it reminded me why we moved to Gallatin 3 years ago. The feel of small town with a lot of green farmland and plenty of open space. We were lucky. Unfortunately, a lot has changed since then. Wherever you look, you see construction zones with all the inconveniences linked to it. Early morning and late afternoon noise all around, blasting, dump trucks and equipment all over, and so on. The nicest town in the USA is no more. Let me make it clear, I'm not opposed to growth. I am against unplanned or over-planned growth. The city is telling us it is planned, but everything we see looks to point the other way. The infrastructure is not ready, schools are not ready, services are not ready, and a lot of people will point that out tonight. So why add even more to what is already in the pipe? First, let me remind you that the council got warned the city was not in compliance with the law regarding previous annexations, and the city should wait before starting another annexation. These remarks prompted an internal audit. When asked about this, the city attorney told us that until a judge ruled that the city was at fault, everything was fine. I do not think this answer is acceptable. If you know you're breaking the law, you should not hide behind the system to keep breaking the law. This is creating a dangerous precedent. By the way, we still have not seen the results of the audit. To support the annexation, the city produced a feasibility study for the Meadows development. I went over that study several times, and I have to say, this work is, in my opinion, well below standard. During my career, I ran a Fortune 500 flight department and had to present studies and budgets to the board. If I had presented some papers at the level of this study, I would have probably lost my job. Too many errors, holes, omissions, and unknowns. To cite a few, what if CSX or TDOT do not agree with the plans? GED versus CEMC costs and revenues. Police growth needed is based on residential traffic, but how about the commercial traffic? I could go on. It is all over pages 6, 7, 10, 11, 13, 17, 18, 27, and page 28, where the conclusion states the Meadows annexation will require a relatively small initial investment to provide municipal services to the area. How much is relatively small? According to the study, the city shows a positive revenue at full build-out. If I use their numbers, with anything less than 719 built and occupied units, the city will lose money. How many years will it take to reach the break-even point for our city? Who will subsidize the project until then? This will be us, the taxpayers. And how about the interlocal agreement with the county? You included language so to be able to circumvent it. Our mayor told us during her State of the City address that we are growing too fast and you should listen to her. It is time to slow down and breathe. But unfortunately, I have no doubt the annexation will be voted on. Some of you in the council already made your intention clear in the open and have even used scare tactics to justify your vote, telling us the owner had sent a proposal to the county to build duplexes. You just want to control the land. It is all about control and not about listening to your citizens or the people that will be impacted most, the neighbors. Personally, I'm not directly impacted by this project yet, but will be like any other citizen of the city when this is approved. The city will need to fund this unknown cost of the initial small investment. I'm almost done. Can I finish?
Finish.
And the only way to do that would be by raising our taxes. People are already hurting with this year's county's tax raise, some up to $3,000. So we should try to minimize the impact your vote will have on all of us. So he says, I know I'm over my 5 minutes, but I have a last quick note to finish, Madam Mayor. I am sad I could not be here in person, but at least tonight I'm sure you will fully understand every word of my comments. There's a first for everything. Thank you for listening to me via my interpreter. Have a great evening.
Thank you,
And
Ms.
he
Javas.
says it is time to make Gallatin great again.
Thank you.
Andy Leith, 114B West Main Street, and I will clarify that I am the designer of the project and the owner's representative. So tonight, I'd just like to take a brief moment to not lay our argument out to you guys again, because you've already heard it time and time again, but I would like to add some new information based on some of the comments at the last meeting. So our office did submit a duplex plan to the county, and we submitted that in October. Josh, the county planner, did not accept the plan because it was 20 minutes late, and we failed to have a pre-application meeting. Since that time, we immediately had a pre-application meeting. So, and during that meeting, Josh brought up some zoning concerns, and we asked Josh for some clarification. This is that clarification here that allows us the next step, which will allow us to submit the duplex plan. I have it drawn. I have already submitted it. It was not accepted, but it is ready to go back. The plan, what we shared with the people here tonight in the past, was that there could be 350 duplexes. I'll be honest with you, I couldn't get that many on the plan. Currently, there's 300 duplex lots, or somewhere plus or minus. And I'll continue to be honest with you guys. This is all dependent on the soil out there, whether it can handle the septic system or not. So there are still some hurdles to the duplex plan, but it is in motion. We have not lied to you guys. We have not lied to the people out here. As I've sat back and watched various people speak, I've seen people that I went to high school with, people that I work with, and Mr. Dozier's behind me. I'm working on a project with him right now. So we're not in the business of being misleading. We've not tried to be misleading. We did submit a plan. It was not accepted because we failed to have a pre-application meeting and it was late. But the plan is ready to go back to the county when I'm instructed to turn it in. So just want to let you guys know that based on last couple weeks ago's meeting. Thank you.
My name is Dave Dozier. I reside with my wife Tanya at 567 Dobbins Pike, and our property basically borders this development property on two sides. There's a couple of lots between us and where the main cut-through would come off Dobbins Pike at. As I've said before, Mayor and members of the council, I do appreciate your service. I know it's a tough job. You can't please everybody, and this is a very sensitive issue. I'm not sure there's any way you're going to make everybody happy, so I would not want to be in your seat. But I still stand opposed to this development, and let me just express a few reasons why. There's been multiple attempts over many years to develop this property for different reasons. Even this body at one time denied development of that. For this to happen now, it had to be annexed by the city, and the county will have to agree to that. To place 1,100 homes in this area, just stop for just a moment and think about Gallatin. I just drove here from Nashville. I do every day. Nashville traffic was bad enough when I had Gallatin. I had another city to deal with, Gallatin. Folks, we have got to slow down the development in this city. I'm opposed to the development at the Meadows because it's 1,100 homes. Are we really serious that we're going to pack 1,100 homes into that area? I bring up the issue of Dobbins Pike. Dobbins Pike itself is very dangerous already. We've had multiple accidents. I don't see anything in the plan that talks about more than a turning lane. If this development were to go in, what are the plans to get Dobbins Pike into an area where it's safe or in a situation where it's safe? I didn't see that in the resolution. Last time I was before you, I spoke to that. Again, the larger issue is our city. When I look at our city, why can we not slow down this development? Just slow it down. Let's don't rubber stamp everything. And we say, well, it could go to the county. And you've heard Mr. Leith talk about the fact that there may be a plan. Well, then let the county deal with that plan and slow that plan down. Folks, let's take this a step at a time. Everywhere I look around Gallatin, I see continued developments, rubber stamping yes to everything. We've got traffic we cannot deal with. Let's talk about the schools, the police, the services. I believe we've seen a 41% tax increase in 4 to 5 years at the county level. How much more money are we going to pull out of people? Folks, we've got to slow this down, and to me, the development itself is a challenge because of where it's at. I live on 11 beautiful acres, spent many years redoing the house we're in. It will completely change that area out there. And people live on 3 and 4 and 5 and 10 and 11 acre tracts because they enjoy that. You've heard before, there's many people, only place you want to live is postage stamp. That's not true. Go north up Dobbins Pike and look at the folks that are developing property and buying 1, 2, 3, 4 acre tracts up through there. I don't know what the plan is. I have no reason not to believe what Green LID has done, and they've presented a plan. Let's take it a step at a time. Let's don't approve this here. And if she decides to do, or the owner decides to do something with the county, let the county step to the plate and slow this development down. Folks, we've got to start somewhere. And I trust many of you here. I've talked to many of you here. But for the sake of this city and the love of this great, beautiful city, what are we going to leave in a few years when our children or grandchildren are trying to live here? Let's slow it down. I simply come before you asking you to make the right decision, say no to this development. Let's slow this down. Let's slow down growth throughout Gallatin. Don't stop it, but slow it down. Even our good mayor has stated we're growing too quickly. If we approve this tonight, this will not help that situation. It'll make it much, much worse. Mayor, members of the council, thank you. Always appreciate the opportunity to speak. I don't vote for any of you because I'm in the county, but I respect you and I appreciate you, and you've got a tough decision to make. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, council, greetings, hello. I'm Russ Vernier. I spoke here a couple weeks ago. I live over there by the Meadows property. I live on 199 Rainier Lane, Gallatin, Tennessee. Actually in the county, not in the city also. I've always thought the city would be growing out that way to where I am, and it looks like it is doing that. I live near the intersection of Old 109 and the new Highway 109, and Sumner County has a plan for 2035 future of Gallatin, and it is that area right there is considered in their plan as highway services, which is a commercial use. And so that's the Sumner County plan for that area right there. My neighbors and I have a PUD, planned use development, of about 65 acres in that area. And this housing, the meadows going in, looks to me like affordable and quality housing. And I think Gallatin's plan, I can't exactly say where I've seen this or heard that, is for living and working in Gallatin. So not everybody has to go to Nashville like I do. And I just came up through that traffic myself and had to work some overtime and got over here because TDOT is working real hard to build a lot of road projects. And that's what I do. But so they're wanting me to work some overtime. But anyway, living and working in Gallatin is a good plan. Like I say, we're looking to have commercial development there where I'm at, and I think the housing over there is a good plan as far as, like I say, affordable housing and quality housing. And the connector between Dobbins Pike and 109 also sounds like a good idea, just to move traffic. Of course, that I haven't seen a plan on that, but I've heard that, well, I guess I've basically seen the plan, but I work for TDOT, and we have real detailed plans. So there would be more detail into that plan, as far as I can tell. That's about all I really have to say, and I'd like to ask for y'all's vote for yes on the plan. I think it's a good plan, and I think it'd be good for Gallatin. Growth is happening. I think it's a good idea to plan for the growth. I think that's what this is all about, is planning for the growth. So we got to consider everything, and I'd like for you to vote yes on it.
Thank you, Mr. Renier.
Wow. Another word for duplex, townhome. Think of that. Since the Meadows plan...
Name and address, please.
Oh, I'm John Miller, 104 Pond Drive in Gallatin. Since the Meadows plans have been presented to the Planning Commission and to the Council, almost 94% of the citizens speaking have been against the project. Most are neighbors of the property. Those neighbors invested their savings, often their life savings, to buy a property not for profit, but for a specific quality of life. A quality of life that's on the verge of being taken from them by 7 elected officials. Officials elected to preserve the rights of the citizens, officials elected to protect the interests of the citizens, and elected officials who not one of these citizens has had the opportunity to cast a vote for or against. That fact alone should mean that you'd be diligent and considerate about your final decision tonight. Gallatin doesn't need sprawl in a competing city 1.5 miles from our current downtown. Gallatin really needs urban renewal. I remember sitting here and listening to the Planning Commission, telling the owner of the storage facility along 386 that he needed a brick facade because it was an entryway into Gallatin. Well, have any of you come into Gallatin via South Water or 31E? They happen to be entryways into Gallatin also. Can't you imagine apartment and condos with commercial on the ground floor replacing junk car lots, vacant buildings, and aged and empty strip malls? Residences that will put hundreds of people within walking distance to our downtown restaurants and shops, and add additional shops and restaurants. I watched this summer Oak Ridge Farm set up a tent in the old Miracle Ford lot and operate 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, and people all day long buying fruits, vegetables, and preserves. Yet our farmers market struggles to be open 2 half-days a week. Imagine hundreds of people living across the street and a block away coming to buy our farmers' produce, meats, and other goods from the farmers market. Yet our vision is to build a small city down the road, put 4,000 more vehicles a day on a road that can't handle it. Our vision is to add 3,000 more people for sales tax dollars. Our vision is to add enough children that a new school will be needed at a cost of $70 million to a county that's already $500 million, that's a $500 million in debt. Can you say tax increase? And not just for Gallatin citizens, but for every citizen of Sumner County. I have to wonder if Gallatin would be approving these massive developments if only the citizens of Gallatin, your constituents, were responsible for funding new schools and additional staff. But you have the luxury to pass off the tax increase on the 76,000 other properties in all of Sumner County. Gallatin and Hendersonville are primarily responsible for the 41% tax increase every citizen in Sumner County has incurred in the past 5 years. Every citizen who had no vote for or against it. It's akin to taxation without representation, actually. I'm asking you to do the morally right thing and not approve the Meadows. It does nothing for the city. It does nothing for the county. The only person to benefit is Tina Earp. The people who don't benefit are the neighbors who invested their savings for a quality of life and have come to every meeting pleading their cause onto deaf ears. And eventually, every taxpayer in Sumner County who's going to be burdened with higher taxes, overcrowded roads, increased crime, and a loss of their desired quality of life. Do the right thing and vote no. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate your time.
Gentle reminder, let's not mention individuals, please, in your public comments.
Good evening. My name is Andy Stokely. I live here in Gallatin, within the city limits, at 438 Nichols Circle West. I own property out off of Old 109 North, and I'm also here this evening speaking on behalf of my father-in-law, Laddie Wilson, who owns a tract of land at 140 Rainier Lane, directly across the railroad tracks from this property. So when we look out, we look directly out onto this farm. I'll just tell you right up front, we're for the development. There's going to be development there. Let's not kid ourselves. We like the idea that it's a planned, structured development. There's been a lot of thought that's gone into it. This piece of property's been footballed around between, remaining as a farm or being commercial or being industrial or being residential. And I can't think of anything much nicer than having, nice residential homes, new residential homes out there. For those of you who haven't noticed, affordable housing in Gallatin is a problem. I looked up the other day, there was only 2 properties below $160,000 listed on the property. So somebody else mentioned urban renewal earlier. It's going to somewhat take care of itself from that standpoint because of the fact of the property values. I mean, homes are going to be demolished, remodeled. It's happening already. We feel like that this development would not only add growth to that area of town, we also feel like that it would add tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars to the local economy, both in building materials, jobs, people here that are shopping at local establishments. I guess my viewpoint is I've sat where you sat for another municipality, and it's a tough decision, I understand. But, from a quality of life perspective, I understand they may not, look out upon horse farms or bucolic pastures. However, that was never guaranteed. This is someone else's farm. They have the right to potentially develop it as they see fit. So I would just tell you that I think there's a lot of upsides to the property, and if it comes down to commercial or industrial or residential, we'd much rather see residential sitting out there from our perspective. So thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Good evening. So thank you guys for allowing citizens the opportunity to speak. My name is Ruth Fennell, and my address is 1049 Blue Jay Way in Gallatin. So a couple questions for you guys. What makes Gallatin special? In your mind, what makes Gallatin special? Is it the history, the neighborhoods, the stores, the restaurants, the people? What brings people to Gallatin? Is it that we're the nicest place in America, which is probably true, but what makes us nice? Is it the relationships we build with others? Is it being selfish or being selfless? Is it looking out for ourselves or looking out for our neighbors? What is driving the phenomenal growth that our area is dealing with right now? So right now, Gallatin, Hendersonville, and Sumner County is facing a dilemma. We're at risk of losing the very things that have made us unique: a sense of community, a sense of caring, a sense of looking out for each other. As any leader will tell you, decisions made in isolation tend to be bad decisions. Right now, the city and county governments, along with school districts, are all making individual decisions, it would seem, without regard to the impact or consequences on the other areas and the citizens in this county. Now, I understand the value of property rights. However, I also understand that our foundation is not that of a selfish nation. It's a foundation of caring and following the golden rule that says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you lived in this area of Sumner County, would you want 2,000 more cars to get through as you try to get home at the end of the day? Would you want to lose the rural, peaceful, bucolic views that relax you at the end of a hard day? Would you want to keep seeing your taxes go up and up and up for roads and schools and infrastructure? When is enough enough? What does it mean to be a good neighbor? Is it placing extra burdens on those around you so that you can benefit? Or does it require working together? Meeting after meeting, your neighbors, my neighbors, and the neighbors of the meadows have come before you asking for your help in looking out for them. Do you feel you have done that? I'm not sure that they do. Yesterday, I had a conversation with a major developer in this area. Person I've known for many years, very cordial, very forthright, which was very thoughtful, and I appreciated that. But I asked him a direct question. Why are there so many developments being presented right now? His response was basically that if the area was experiencing growth and people were coming, developers had to take advantage of it. This was strike while the iron was hot. My response back to him was, I understand that, but how are you looking out for your neighbors and your friends who are already here? By seizing on that opportunity, what are you doing? And he didn't really answer that question because I'm not sure he could. My challenge is, his comment was if he didn't do it, somebody else will. And that Gallatin was easy to work with, and he liked building in this area because it was so easy. Well, I don't know if that's because the planning approves plans easily. I don't know that there's no real impact fees. I couldn't really get into that, but it's basically they build it and then move on. My final question to him was, I know you can build on these properties, but should you? What is the long-term outcome of looking out for our friends and our neighbors that are already here? As I was driving in here, I listened to a podcast, and in the podcast, one of the gentlemen said, wisdom is the ability to see future consequences of present actions. Wisdom is the ability to see future consequences of present actions. So my question to this group is, are you being wise with the meadows? Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all, good evening. My name is Jason Ditzler. I live at 332 North Wilmore Street here in Gallatin. And as you can see, I'm wearing the uniform of a volunteer fire department for Sumner County. And I'm not here to speak for the fire department. I'm here to speak as a member of this great city. I moved to Gallatin about 2.5 years ago. I moved here from Louisville, Kentucky, where I was a firefighter for 8 years. There's an infrastructure in Louisville that can handle a whole bunch of cars, a whole bunch of accidents, a whole bunch of medical calls, a whole bunch of police calls. And while I agree with what some of the people are saying, that there is going to be development at some point out there, do we have the infrastructure to do that right now? I don't know how many of you have ever been a police officer, how many of you have been an EMT, how many of you have been a firefighter, how many of you have been to a fatal car accident. These roads that we're asking to put 2,000 plus cars on, I don't think can handle 2,000 more cars. Now, when I moved here to get away from the big city. I moved here to get away from Nashville. I didn't want to live in Nashville. I wanted to live outside where I could live in peace with people that I could get to know. And I think that a lot of you have your minds made up what you're going to vote, and I appreciate you listening to me and listening to everybody else here. But if you do decide to pass this through, I would ask that you think about the infrastructure. I'd ask that you not pass it, mainly because it's going to be, in essence, a death sentence for our department. But if you do, I hope that you think about the infrastructure first. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Joe Sharp. I live at 1410 Boardwalk Place in Foxland Harbor. My house was the first house that construction started on in Foxland Harbor, so we've been there a while. And we attended the meeting the other night for the homeowners represented in the areas that are the proposition for Tennessee grasslands is coming up for. I know that you've received a lot of information. I won't repeat any of that, just talk for just a moment. It was repeated over and over again that the current MRO zoning would allow them to do everything that they wanted to do within that zoning, and that they could do everything that they wanted to do with the current development master plan. When they were asked, why do you need the master plan or the change to the master plan, after a couple of minutes of talking around the issue, it was explained to the person asking the question that they were the experts and didn't know how they could bring that down to explain it to us as why they needed to do that. But again, repeated over and over again that it isn't required that they have a change in the development plan in order to be able to accomplish what they want to. And that they wanted the development plan only because they were the owners, and the development plan was for the owners and stakeholders. By implication, we as homeowners in Foxland and Fairview were not stakeholders. We're not against capitalism. We're not against making a profit. We're not against business. But I think we surely are stakeholders. And I think that we're fairly savvy constituency. All we're saying is if they can accomplish what it is they want to accomplish with the current development plan, with the current zoning, but the only obstacle is that they need to keep us informed so that we can maybe get information about traffic patterns and the effect that it's going to have on our neighborhoods and our homes, then there's no reason to pass this on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharp.
My name is Sandra Cohen. I live at 304 University Drive in Gallatin. Our mayor recently has been very clear in stating that Gallatin is developing too quickly, and she's very, very right about that. Yet at the last city council meeting, the majority of you made your first vote clear by voting yes on the first motion for the Meadows. And in doing that, you put the enrichment of one individual ahead of the cost that your vote could mean to thousands of your constituents whom you were elected to represent. Any one of us who comes to these meetings and implores you to vote responsibly on their behalf also is speaking for the thousands of individuals who cannot and who do not come here on their own. Additionally, over and over again, we have watched as individual after individual has come forward to beg you to vote against this proposed development, which is far too highly concentrated this close to our city center. We did that before your first vote, and one would hope that you only let it pass at that point to make certain that you had all the information, that anything that you needed was made available to you before the final vote. Individuals have approached this microphone trying over and over and over again to explain to you the negative effect that it will have on so many of the populace of Gallatin and Sumner County. Month after month, we have watched you vote into reality development after development. We have watched you turn Gallatin into a place bordering on sprawl. At the moment, more than 3,000 single-family homes and more than 1,000 apartments are already approved and haven't even started construction. How many of those living spaces, and who knows how many of the homes either already finished or currently underway, could be left unused for God knows how long? Yet that possible emptiness is preferable to the glut of populace that will appear once they are occupied. With all their cars on the road and all their children pushing the limits of already crowded schools. We've tried to explain how important the smaller size of Gallatin is to the people who have chosen to live here, some for decades. Its size is also important to all the accolades that have come our way. The larger a city grows, however, the more impersonal it becomes. So we have implored you to keep Gallatin a place where people really do want to live, not a place where all too soon her current populace will begin to desert the town for more peaceful and safer surroundings. There is true value in owning or even renting a place where everyone wants to live. It increases the monetary value of the property owned, and it continues to hold or even raise the quality of life for both the owning and the non-owning occupants. But once the populace crosses the threshold, which makes it a larger city, that earlier quality of life can never be recaptured. Sadly, unless you regain control of such development and population growth, Gallatin is well on the way toward crossing that threshold. I and the thousands I represent, we are begging you to say no to the Meadows tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robert Ream. I live at 463 Dobbins Pike at the intersection of Gibbs Lane. As I've stated before, I probably am as affected by this project as anybody, but I'm for it. I think that this corridor actually needs the growth that we're looking at here. It's a fine piece of property that I look at from my backyard, and even though some of it is farmed, it's pretty scrubby. It needs to be improved. So I'm going to be a little all over the place here because I've been listening to some of the complaints. In order for this project to proceed on, it needs to be approved by you guys and the county. And so the railroad track crossing, you can't go forward with that until you have an approval. And so it doesn't make any sense to pursue that. Traffic. I come out of my driveway every day and I'm about run over by somebody every day. Now, when you add 2,000 cars to this subdivision, it's going to get worse. But until this subdivision happens, the state is not going to go in and do anything to widen the road. And the only thing that needs to happen there, because I'm in the industry, I'm in the construction industry. I go to Nashville every day, and I deal with exactly what we're talking about here. The road is going to need to be widened. The road is going to be straightened, and some of the humps that you see in it need to be taken care of. After that, I think the road will be fine. We've talked about traffic through Gallatin. You know, I've lived here for 17 years. Traffic in Gallatin has been bad for as long as I've been here. You know, you go from where I live to 386, it takes almost 20 minutes. I heard a moment ago that the mayor said that the city's growing too fast. All the cities that are touching Davidson County are growing too fast. But it's because Davidson County is being bought up and people are being displaced. They're pushing out. So they're pushing to Gallatin. They're pushing to places that they can afford. And Gallatin just happens to be one of those places. I think it's a good thing. I think Gallatin needs it. You know, we're a town that needs to have growth that's in a positive manner, and I think that the Meadows is a very fine project compared to what I've seen out there for the past 17 years. You know, we were looking at mobile homes for a couple of different rounds. We were looking at factories and stuff, which really I kind of liked. But this is a fine development if you compare it to Durham Farms, which is the best comparison that I can give to this. It's going to impact the city, sure. It's going to impact the schools. But along with that, so are the projects that are on Greenlee, all the apartment complexes, the subdivisions. Why can't this particular project be a part of Gallatin also? I mean, you've got Haddon Track Extension that's going to take some of the traffic out of Gallatin through Haddon Track over to 109. Tina Earp, I know we're not supposed to bring up names, but she just happens to own the property. And you know what? She's entitled to do with it what she wants to, just like the rest of us. You know, the view from Dobbins Pike to the Meadows, you almost can't see it. It's not something that you can see. Sure, maybe you can see the cars that are coming in and out of it, and I understand that. You know, taxes, it's going to raise taxes, but it's also going to cost us money. Every city is enduring the pain of growth. We're going to have to endure that pain as well. But we also get to...
Will you wrap your comments up for us, please?
Okay. Anyway, I'm in favor for it. I think that this northern corridor is ready for something. It's not pushed so far out past the city limits. I think it's a good thing. I'm in favor for it. I live right there on the corner. I think it's a good thing. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Oh, good evening, people. 317 Malone Drive. I'm here to speak about the first agenda item that I ever spoke about.
Your name, please.
You told me not to say names. You say don't call names. Are you going to try to set me up like you did when you gave me permission to chalk, and I chalked and you arrested me? You say don't call names, right?
You're supposed to be speaking on agenda.
I am speaking on the agenda.
Also ask that you introduce yourself.
Well, can I say a name without being arrested? Can I? My middle name's Jason.
At the podium is Mr. Patrick Rainers. Proceed with your comments.
Okay.
Keep them to the agenda.
I would like to say that everybody enjoys growth, enjoys money, but they don't like a tumor. They don't like a goiter. That's the kind of growth that they don't like. You got people coming up crying before this council, giving you guys the respect that you so-called deserved. But I'm going to talk about something else. I haven't heard one person say they know anything when they come before you tonight. Not yet. I was going to wait to the end, but when I seen the third police officer come, that's why I figured I'd be with my hands up over there. Because you guys can't handle 30,000 citizens complaining about it. Just one, and you bring 2 more officers that aren't even using their body cams. You guys can't follow your policies.
Agenda item, comment time.
Regarding, you can't follow your policies regarding having enough police officers to handle these people. You haven't showed any plan where you're going to hire more police officers. Okay, you just had an officer that was hit by a car last week, which I'm so sorry for Mr. Green and his family, but more and more of that's going to happen, and we're all one of you, not just a city employee. We're all one of you. And this isn't going to be something that y'all can brush off. You have all these people, which I'm so proud of them coming forward. I wish some more people would just say what they know. And another thing is, if this does happen and the people try to bonify what they're saying, is are they going to look for the records? Are they going to look for where they have to prove that the city had depraved indifference when their loved one dies because you let 2,000 more cars on the road, and that you might be held eligible for lawsuits like with the old water system where you have people exposed to asbestos, which you guys have known about it for years, but you couldn't allocate any kind of thing to help your own city employees. What are you going to do for these people?
Agenda item, please.
It's overpopulating.
Council, just
You
proceed
guys
with
gonna
your
adjourn?
comments. Keep it to the agenda.
Okay, so anyways, I think that if you guys approve this tonight, you will be earning the hate. I don't think nobody should hate this city, but I think people have come and cried before you because they trust in you, and please support them.
Mayor, council members, my name's Dennis Cavan. I live at 1167 Plantation Pass in Gallatin, Tennessee, known as Fairview. I'm talking on item number 9 on the agenda tonight. My house was the 30th house built at Fairview Plantation in 2003 and 2004, so I have seen a tremendous amount of change take place. Me and a number of the residents that I have spoken to are very grateful for the transition that took place in 2010 and 2011 to see Fairview Plantation continue to prosper and grow. When you look at the issue associated with this particular item, number 9, it is what I, as a business person, would want to do. I spent 2 years as the vice president of the HOA and 3 years as the president of the HOA. I doubt there's anyone in this room that has spent more time with the Planning Commission digging through boxes looking for information relating to the 21 phases associated with Fairview Plantation. It is a very monstrous master development plan that desperately needs to be simplified. There are items on there that are no longer relevant to the master development plan, and property that is not even owned by anyone, homeowners or by Tennessee Grasslands. So I'd ask you to take a good hard look at what the request is. There's been a lot of emotion associated with this particular action. But when you narrow it down, what is the request? It has nothing to do with the 9 proposed amenities. It has everything to do with cleaning up a document that desperately needs cleaning up. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cavan. Anyone else wishing to speak? Again, if you're planning to speak, I'd ask that you come forward to the podium so that we're not waiting between speakers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is George Stronzer. I live at 1252 Chloe Drive in Fairview. So I'm going to read a letter that I sent to you guys today on the Tennessee Grasslands Master Development Plan and read this into the record. I attended the meeting on the 13th, and I think some interesting and good information was shared. But it's clear that these plans are not fully developed, and some are potentially controversial. The opposition isn't about restraining the club owners from being successful, as the people signing the petition want the club to be successful, just not at their expense or to the detriment of their homes, the club, or the community at large. People want a continuing voice in the process that precludes a future situation where their alternative is opposing something already approved by the city with little chances of success or consideration of their concerns or objections. I think that's a completely reasonable position. The business rationale and factual backup in support of some of the key projects, for example, what was the current utilization rate of the existing 4 guest cottages over 2018 and 19, justifying building X number of new cottages, was not evident, nor was it shared. There's no stated plan for the capital funding of these developments. So where will that capital come from? How do the owners expect to get a reasonable return on investment? How will the owners ensure there will be no financial or other negative impact on community, homeowners, or club members? The issue is troubling in its lack of detail, leaving many unanswered questions that lead to suspicion, lack of trust, and overall understanding. Conceptually, success-based capital makes sense in many business situations. However, speculative deployment of capital is often ruinous, especially in an unstable or declining industry. In the presentation that we all went to, it was made clear that the club and the golf industries are both unstable and in decline. So net of all, the biggest question unanswered is if the proposed projects are doable under the 2 existing master development plans that exist today, why are they requesting their own MDP and purposely separating themselves from the 2 communities which they are inseparably connected and intertwined? It is unnecessary to pursuing any of the proposed plans for the club. There's substantial suspicion by a large number of people living in the communities regarding the underlying motives, details, and actual plans. This question was never answered in the community session other than the statement, I want a development plan for the land the club owns. But they have that today in combination of the 2 existing MDPs for Fairview and Foxland, their neighbors and communities in the circle of the 2 golf courses. The second biggest and more glaring issue, been ignored to date by all parties, was neither asked or answered at the meeting last week. There is an unknown impact on the communities themselves, as there's been no third-party assessment by either the club owners, developers, or the city of Gallatin of the proposed development projects with regard to the future safety, nuisance, congestion, security, traffic, or economic impact on these, Fairview and Foxland, and the surrounding Gallatin communities. This is a very reasonable expectation, and the absence of such a step lacks reasonable prudence and care, bordering on recklessness. Together, these factors and others stated in the petition make the approval of the Tennessee Grasslands MDP premature, unnecessary, and risky for all parties, but especially for those living in Fairview and Foxland, regardless of whether they're club members or not. Looking at the website, Gallatin City Council is responsible for duties of the council include setting the tax rate, approving the budget, planning for capital improvements, adopting all city ordinances, selecting citizens to serve on boards and commissions, and approving major land transactions, purposes, and contracts. The requested action does not seem to be a major land transaction, purchase, or contract. So should the city council move forward anyways and approve the request, this action seems well outside this above stated scope of duties. In this event, the future will very likely consume time, resources, and opportunity the city does not have and should not spend. Clearly, it is not the city's job to mediate between a private club and its potential or proposed capital projects and the 2 communities in which the private club is located.
I'm sorry, your time is up. If you would conclude your comments, please.
Last sentence. 373 people signed this petition opposing this. They're all Gallatin citizens. None of them have asked to remove their name or be stricken from the petition since attending the meeting. So on behalf of those people, we request the city would deny this request. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Tanya Dozier. I live at 567 Dobbins Pike. Give me a minute. My heart's just racing. Well, thank you for listening to all of us. I know some of you had your minds made up before we even left Planning Commission. I hope that some of you, we maybe changed your mind and you'll vote against it. As you know, I'm opposed. And I'm here for nothing more than to just be one more person before you to say I'm opposed. You give us the opportunity to speak, and so we're going to take that opportunity. I'm asking you please not annex this or rezone it. Once you do it, it's done. You'll change the environment. Some people want to change that environment. Well, most of those people that are up here wanting to change that environment are wanting to benefit off of that. They don't live there, or if they do live there, they don't care. They'll move and develop their land. And I'm told, well, just sell your house. Move. I don't want to sell my house. I don't want to move. I like my view out the front, and I invite Mr. Ream to come stand with me at my kitchen window and look out at this property out back, right behind my house. Well, I already did, sorry. Because I can see it, and that is where I live. And it's very important to me, and all of us. It's not just, oh, it's okay, no big deal. And I did make some notes. As I've said before, you're going to change the environment. This is one spot of land among county. And I understand that this person bought it and people have rights to develop their land. Well, that person bought that piece of land surrounded by county. And none of us have asked you to change that. None of us that live around it. We've lived there. My parents built the home in 1978. And nobody around has asked for it to be changed, except this one person. And the one person's not here, they send a representative. But like I said last time, we all have to stand up here and beg you to please don't change it. And that one person just wants to do it because they want to make money off of it, as do most of the other people who want this to go through. And of course, there's all the traffic, all the schools. There's an Indian Bear Ground back there that we'll let the developers take care of. And then there's that lovely railroad that's going to be built over Computer Lane. I sat in traffic, bumper to bumper, as far as my eyes could see the other evening on Saundersville Road in Hendersonville, waiting for a train to go through. On a track that's supposed to have a train built over it. But it ain't there yet. And I'd like to make comment to the person who said that there wouldn't be, young people don't want acreage. Yes, there are still people who want acreage. There are still people who want to live out in the county. Not everybody wants to live in a neighborhood. They do still want to live out. And I'm just up here saying this because I just want to be one person that you all listen to, that you all hear. And you know that there are people out there. When you go to build and you go to develop, there are people around it that you're affecting by your votes and by what you're doing. And hardy board's supposed to be a wonderful thing, we've heard. Well, why can we only put a small percentage on a home in Fairview if it's so wonderful? And you know, the comment about what would be nicer than looking back there at a development. Well, big green fields and trees and animals, not 1,115 homes, and with a commercial right in the middle of it. And yes, I can see back there, like I said before. I can see back there, and I can see to the left of our house when I'm standing in the backyard where that boulevard's going to go through. And no, I don't want to deal with all the construction. And it's going to go on for 10 years. It won't be built out for 10 years, and phase 1 is right behind my house.
Ms. Dozier, your time is up.
I know it is. And I appreciate y'all listening time and time again.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christy Allen. I live at 104 Vineyards Court, and thank you for the opportunity to listen to the citizens this evening. Before you vote tonight on the Meadows, please consider, above all things, the impact that this development will have on our lives. Look at the map of all the approved developments in the pipeline and ask the citizens who will be affected by this how they feel about more development. How's it working for us so far? Are we better off than we were 2 years ago? We sit in our cars every morning, every evening. I'm so sick of the inside of my Honda Civic. It literally took me 40 minutes to get here this evening to this meeting, and I live 5 miles away. Please consider Dobbins Pike, which is entirely too narrow to support 2,000 more cars. Please come to the elementary and middle school that will serve this development during morning drop-off and see how backed up traffic is here already. Please consider the existing bus driver shortage that this county has. When school started this year, this county was 40 drivers short of what it needed, or at 20% of its driving pool. Children in my neighborhood have to be on the bus at 6:20 in the morning to get to school at 7:45. Add 1,000 more kids to that bus route, what time are they going to have to get up to get on the bus? Consider Highway 31 from Bethpage and see the long line of traffic coming in each morning. Head over to Highway 25 toward Castilian Springs and see more of the same. Please think about the impact on our police and fire departments. And just wait until the sewer lines and utilities have to be run. We already know what's going on with White House Utility taking the property on the other side of town for schools and development. We're going to be dealing with that scenario here in just a few years if this is approved. It will happen. And it's been said by this council that this process is developer-driven. I'm not really sure I understand that. It should be driven by this council and the citizens that they represent. We've experienced enough growing pains in our small town, and we're just not ready for a development of this size. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mo Taylor, 420 Buckgraves Road, Westmoreland, Tennessee. This is I don't know how many times I've spoke on this issue, but I think I started back in March, and I told y'all back then that we're facing a property tax increase at the county. We got it. We got a 17% property tax increase. Well, tonight the school board's meeting, and I think they're going to open bids, possibly for the new school system out on Liberty Creek. From what I heard last night at the county commission meeting, we're having a joint financial management and budget committee meeting the second Monday in December to discuss our next bond issuance. Because the thought is that the Liberty Creek schools is going to be over budget of what the $103 million bond that was issued. So they're going to look at doing a bond at the county for schools and the parking garage and the courthouse. So
On this issue and how it relates, one of the top 3 largest occupied elementary schools will be affected by this. One of the largest elementary schools in the county will be, this will feed into that school. So 1,155 homes in that area. I can only imagine what that's going to do. So just an ideal, if this does pass, just for y'all and for the county, we might want to look at a road coming off Albert Gallatin going into those schools instead of having the road that feeds into them now. Just an ideal. How does this affect my area? Well, what used to take me 35 minutes to get to Gallatin, now to go to the county administration building, I leave an hour, at least an hour to hour and 15 minutes, because I take Dobbins Pike. So if you live up in Oak Grove, Graball, Providence, New Road, Rock Bridge, you know, this is going to affect a whole lot more than just the city of Gallatin. You know, if you live up where I live, I can go to Franklin, Kentucky or Bowling Green about as quick as I can get to Gallatin, because I live on the state line. But I try to spend as much of my money here as I can, because that's what we control, tax dollars. So it's been talked about, you know, if this was to come to the county, as far as the duplexes, it could very well be applied for ever how many duplexes they could stick on it. That's, you know, I know that's not what some of the council members want to see for that area. It's not, you know, probably what some of the homeowners out in that area. But you can't be worried about something that hadn't happened yet. So that's, you know, that's something that you have to look at and think about as well. I mean, I can tell you or threaten you I'm going to do anything. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it. So, but I appreciate y'all listening to me. I think this, along with many of the other developments that keeps getting approved, is going to cause another tax increase. We spent $70 million in 15. There was a bond to remodel schools. Those schools, some of those schools that are within the city limits of Gallatin, are already at capacity again. Why? People moving here, new homes being built in those school zones. So not only is this going to affect your, you know, it's going to affect the kids that go to, let's say, a middle school or an elementary school. When you build a new school, or you push them out of this school, you push them into another school, you affect families. Go ask the people down on Long Hollow Pike in Carrollton, Station Camp. I mean, those people have been affected drastically by ripping their kids out of school that they were used to and making them go to another one because of sprawling, in my opinion, uncontrolled growth. So please help us control this growth and vote this down. Thank you.
Thank you. Huh.
Ready? Okay. I'm Leanna Thomas. I live at 902 Wallace Road. I'm going to try to do what Mayor Brown asked and give you a different perspective to think about tonight. I know that I've spoken multiple times about the meadows, which is the agenda item that I'm going to be speaking about. I would like you to consider the people that are not here tonight, because those are the people that you also represent. I would like for you to consider that if you pass this, what you're doing to everyone, not just those that are here speaking to you. what you would be doing to the person that possibly, if this passes and taxes are raised, would have to decide if they are going to buy their medication or if they are going to pay their tax bill. If they cannot afford their medication, what happens in that case scenario? We have people in situations like that that need a certain kind of insulin, and they choose a cheaper one. And because of that, they're dying. These are real life scenarios when people are impacted by decisions like what you're making tonight. You might not think about that when you're thinking about passing a development, but it is something that affects everything in our life when you do something like this. When I come and I speak before you, I sit. And I sit before you because there have been people just like you that made decisions on my behalf that did not turn out well for me. And I have to live with those decisions. But tonight, I'm going to stand up to say this to you. I know that I can do that because there's a lot of people in here that have my back because I have their back. I'm asking that you have everyone's back tonight and that you vote no because it's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment on agenda-related items this evening? Okay, seeing no one, I will declare public comment on agenda-related items closed. I'm going to ask this council, do y'all need a quick recess? Okay, I might. We will proceed on and see how far we can get. Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is Resolution R1908-44. Councilman Alexander is recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, adopting a plan of service for an annexation of full partial tax map 104, partial 022.10, 025.00, 026.00, and 027.00, consisting of 384.64 plus or minus acres, located west of Dobbin Pike, north and west of Gibbs Lane, and east of CSX Railroad, and providing for an effective date. And I so move.
Motion by Councilman Alexander. There's a second by Councilman Overton. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, this is Resolution R1908-44. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, opposed are Councilman Hayes and Councilwoman Love. So we have 4 in favor and 2 opposed. Motion carries. Item number 2 is Resolution R1908-45. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the resolution of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, annexing 4 partial tax map 104, partial 022.10, 025.00, 026.00, and 027.00, consisting of 384.64 plus or minus acres located west of Dobbin Pike, north and west of Gibbs Lane, and east of CSX Railroad, into the City of Gallatin, authorizing the annex partial to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, authorizing the assignment of annex area to a council district, repealing conflicting ordinance, providing for servability, and providing for an effective date. Now so move.
Have a motion by Councilman Alexander, a second by Councilman Overton. Opening for discussion.
I'd like to make a few comments here.
Okay, Mr. Fan, you're recognized.
I'm going to vote for the annexation. It's my understanding it's just that property only, right?
Yes.
And I'm going to explain my vote a little bit here. I've heard traffic. Without traffic, you won't have growth. And without growth, you don't have opportunity. As I look over this crowd, most of us are above 40. So it's easy for us to sit here and complain because we're inconvenienced in traffic.
what we have to ask ourselves is, are we willing to suffer the traffic for opportunity for the young people? Because without the traffic, you're not going to have the opportunity. That's my view on the traffic. I travel it every day. I get aggravated with it. But you got to decide if you want to sacrifice a few minutes of your day for the future of this city and the future of the young people coming here. So I've heard twice tonight that only one individual is going to benefit from the meadows. To me, that's a bunch of hogwash. By the time that project's finished, there'll be hundreds of people, individuals, that will benefit. Construction workers, retail people, and I can go on and on with that. The other thing I want to, they talk about the infrastructure. If you were putting the infrastructure in before you had the growth, people would be whining about the cost of the infrastructure. At least with the development, it will be assisted financially. The money will be coming in from the taxes to build the infrastructure. Yeah, it's going to be inconvenient for a while. But I don't think you build it before the people come. If they don't come, you're really going to be complaining. Most of the complaints I hear, since I've been on the city council and I'm the newest member, are from people that have moved here. Is it okay for you to move here and nobody else move here? Ask yourself that. To the people that surrounding the meadows, they're not annexing your property. You're not going to be paying city property taxes. It's my opinion it will make your property more valuable down the road. When you pass on, your kids are going to have more valuable property. I'll go back to the traffic. I bet most of these people in this room, when it comes Christmas time, they don't mind the traffic going to Nashville. Are you spending your money here? Did the traffic bother you come Christmas when you went shopping? Well, if we don't have the opportunity for retail to come in, we'll be shopping in Nashville from now on. I see about as many people that have turned up here for this project as I've seen against it. There's a few more that have spoke against it. If I owned a farm in that area, I'd be glad for them to do it. The day may come that farmers don't exist in this country if we don't do something about it. But it will make your property more valuable and when you get ready to sell it if you want to. But if you've got a farm, don't sell it. Keep farming it. I'm all for you. If I had no way, Gallatin would never have started this growth anyway. When I came here, the population was very little. It's probably 3 or 4 times that now. Workforce. We want opportunities, but if we don't have affordable housing, we won't have a workforce. If you think I'm wrong, anybody that's self-employed or is looking for employees, go out and try to find a qualified employee today. Get with your schools. We need to bring back trades. And that's the reason I'm for it.
Thank you. Ms.
Comment
Trace?
too. I mean, you know, and I see where he's coming from, but, you know, my biggest thing still, to me, there's a place for high density, you know, and I think it's more closer to town, not how we're 2 miles out on a 2-lane road, putting 1,100 vehicles. You know, I think it needs to be in places like Station Camp, Greenleaf Boulevard, places like that where you can hop on the bypass and go somewhere like that. You know, I understand what they're talking about. You know, they have farms out there. They got 1-acre tracts. They've got 5-acre tracts, and then you're gonna put 1,100 homes on top of that. Sure, the county might come and put duplexes out there, but that's a chance they got to take. But I am still that is the biggest reason that I am not for this project is because of the density, just about where it's going, and us having to hop, skip over whatever right away, do this to annex that piece of property. I don't think the city's ready for that right now. We're approving development after development inside the city right now that we've got to take care of, and then we're going to hop, skip over everything to annex this and do that, and put 1,100 more homes out there. And that's why, you know, I wish everybody would just take a look at that and see, and you know, that's the 2 main reasons that I'm not for this project.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be recognized? Ms. Love?
I can see what Steve Fan is talking about, and also Craig. But growing up out in the country myself, I know how valuable that land is to people who love countryside and green space and land. And I sure am glad that when we sold ours, we didn't have 1,100 houses. But I'm also thinking about the added number of police and fire and emergency personnel that's going to be needed to be hired for that. If we don't hire a lot more, it's going to put the people we have working in those fields in danger. So that's a big added expense too. I just don't think we're ready for it.
Anyone else wish to be recognized? Okay, seeing no one, we'll proceed with the vote. This is Resolution R1908-45. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no.
No.
Okay, Mr. Hayes and Ms. Love vote against. Again, this passes 4-2. Item number 3 is second reading on ordinance 01908-40. Councilman Alexander.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an order of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning 4 parcels totaling 384.64 plus or minus acres. Tax map 104, partial 22.10, 25.00, 26.00, and 27.00 from the R40 low density residential district in the Sumner County R1A single family residential district to the MU mixed use district, the R20 PRD low density residential planned residential district, and the R15 PRD medium density residential planned residential district, the R10 PRD medium density residential planned residential district, and the R8 PRD medium density residential planned residential district with a preliminary master development plan for the meadows located west of Dobbin Pike and north of west of Gibbs Lane and east of the CSX Railroad, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicted ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I so move.
Motion by Councilman Alexander, a second by Councilman Overton. Is there any discussion on this?
Just ditto what I just said. I just wish everybody would
Thank
take
you,
a look
Mr.
at
Hayes.
this. I just wish everybody would take a look at this and see what kind of effect it's going to have.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Anyone else? All right, this is second reading on ordinance 01908-40. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed indicate by saying no.
No.
Okay, 4-2, motion carries. Item number 4 is second reading on ordinance 01910-50. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an order of City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, approving the preliminary master development plan for Butler Properties, retail 3 lots, tax map 126P, Group A, partial 22.00, 23.00, and 24.00, totaling 2.89 acres, located south of Nashville Pike, west of Davis Drive, and east of Belvedere. Authorized revisions to be indicated on official zoning atlas, repealing conflict of ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I so move.
Motion by Councilman Overton, second by Councilwoman Love. Is there discussion on this? This is second reading on ordinance 01910-50. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously. Item number 5 is second reading on ordinance 01910-52. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance, City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, approving a preliminary master development plan for Patriot Angels on 2 parcels, tax map 125, parcels 48.00, 47.00, totaling 45.9 acres, located north of Harris Lane and east of Greenlee Boulevard. Authorized provisions to be indicated on official zoning atlas, repealing conflict of ordinance, and providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. And I so move.
Motion by Councilman Overton, second by Councilman Alexander. Is there any discussion? Anyone? Okay, this is second reading on ordinance 01910-52. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item 6 is second reading on ordinance 01910-53. And Councilman Alexander, you're recognized. Councilman Camp, will you take over the meeting for just a few minutes? Or Vice Mayor Camp, I'm sorry. You can stay there if you want, but I just... I'll be right back. Thank you.
Take your time. Thank you, Mayor. This is the ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Sumner County, Tennessee, rezoning a 2.32 plus or minus acre partial from the R10 medium density residential district to the MRO multiple residential and office district with a preliminary master development plan for the ambulation pipeline located at 901 Long Hollow Pike, authorizing the revision to be indicated on the official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Now so moved.
Thank you. We have a motion by Councilman Alexander and a second for Councilman Overton. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on second reading of ordinance 0191053-53. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Motion carries. We'll move on now to item number 7. This is the second reading of ordinance number 019 055-55. It's an ordinance appropriate, well, it's, Councilman Fan.
Thank you, Mr. Camp. This is an ordinance appropriating $133,790 from Miracle Park Donations Revenue Fund to Miracle Park Expense Fund. I so move.
Well, a motion by Mr. Fan and a second by Councilwoman Love. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on ordinance 01910-55. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed will say no. Motion carries. We'll move on. There she is.
Which item number?
Eight.
Number 8.
Oh, y'all moved along, awesome. This is item number 8, first reading on ordinance 01911-56. Councilman Fennell is not here, so, Ms. Trace, you want to take that?
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, amending the Gallatin zoning ordinance, Article 7, provisions for mixed-use districts, Section 7.02, intent and description for the MRO multiple residential and office district, Section 7.03, intent and description of the mixed-use district, Article 8.00, provisions for commercial districts, Section 8.01, intent and purpose of CC Core Commercial District, Section 8.04, intent and purpose of the PGC Plan General Commercial District, and Section 8.05, intent and purpose of PNC Plan Neighborhood Commercial District to permit animal care as a permitted use and permitted use with conditions, authorizing the revisions to be made to the zoning ordinance, repealing conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, second by Councilman Alexander. I will summarize. Basically, we're trying to expand areas where veterinarians are allowed to be in our city. That's what all that was. Any discussion on this? All right, this is first reading on ordinance 01911-56. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item number 9 is first reading on ordinance 01911-57. Councilman Hayes.
Yeah, this is an ordinance of the City of Gallatin, Tennessee, approving an amendment to the last plantation at Fairview, preliminary master development plan, and a revised final master development plan, an amendment to the Foxland at Fairview preliminary master development plan, and a revised final master development plan, and a preliminary master development plan for Tennessee grasslands on 285.88 acres zoned MRO multiple residential and office, located at 981 Plantation Boulevard and 1445 Foxland Boulevard, authorizing the revision to be indicated on official zoning atlas, repealing conflicting ordinances, and providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Hayes, a second by Councilman Fan. Opening the floor for discussion.
And this will have a public hearing, I think.
It does have a
3rd of
public
December
hearing.
And second reading in January, right?
Right. The public hearing, I think it's like the 14th. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somebody knows.
Yeah.
Oh, December 3rd. Thank
Yep.
you. Yes, there'll be a public hearing then that will
Yep.
come before second reading. And then the second reading will happen in January. Thank you for clarifying that. Is there anyone else who has any comments on this? Ms. Love?
Was it ever decided as to the reason that they are asking for this?
I think Mr.
Representative Fear?
Mr. Cavan just gave a good spiel on that.
That was,
To clean it up.
one of those who spoke under public comment was General Cavan, and he was speaking to why, I guess he was explaining, and there we have the person who can answer it. May I suspend the rules for the representative to come forward? Okay, motion by Councilman Overton, second by Alexander. All in favor say aye. Mr. Goodall, welcome to the podium.
Thank y'all, and I'll give a short presentation also, if you don't mind. My name is Bob Goodall, and I'm one of the owners of Tennessee Grasslands. And when Fairview Plantation Golf and Country Club closed its doors during the bankruptcy a few years ago, it was a really tough time. Tough time for the communities, the people that own property within the communities, the people that work for the club. And although that's been 7 or 8 years ago, it's still firmly in our mind. The Fairview Club was brought back together by a group of investors led by Tom Givens, thankfully to Tom and his vision there. And then the Foxland course was opened back up by the Godfrey and Collier family. And thank goodness for them too. And so for the past 7 or 8 years, both clubs have struggled. Most of the time that both have been open, both have lost money. And so about that same time, the golf industry started changing, and the number of golfers went down. And so it has become a difficult period for golf industry, and those that are surviving are upgrading, and they're adding amenities, and they're adding features, and they're making their clubs better, and they're trying to attract and keep the members they have. So, is there a pointer? And I'll actually go to a couple of things to get to.
It's right here.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That went on a few years, and then last year, the owners of the club purchased Foxland, brought the two clubs back together, which was the original vision, and in doing that, helped true up the efficiencies of the two clubs, help, cut some overhead, and help make them profitable again. And so the number of people that are really dependent on these clubs for their neighborhood, the number of people that are here tonight that are actually employees of the club, are here to really take that next step, to take that next journey in where this club is going for the city of Gallatin. So to talk a little bit about the reason for the request, and essentially we're asking for a preliminary master development plan for the two clubs. And so this goes back to the last final master development plan that was created. And when we started looking at this, we started trying to figure out what happened. And as the clubs grew, as Fairview grew, Leon made a number of different changes and added a number of different properties. And I'll give you some examples. You can see, I have the pointer in there, but you can see an area that's kind of southwest of the site. That's an area that's not even part of the neighborhood. It's wasn't even owned by Leon at the time, may have been controlled by Leon, but was not owned by him. And then the other spots throughout the neighborhood that aren't even a part of the property today. So in us creating a preliminary master development plan, we're creating a preliminary master development plan on just the property that we own. So we don't own the common area, we don't own HOA property, we don't own the houses, we don't own property that's owned by LA that's part of this final master development plan here. We don't own commercial lots that are on the front of Nashville Pike. And so it wouldn't make sense for me to bring in a preliminary master development plan of property I don't own. And so that's the biggest reason why. The other thing is just to clean it up. When you look back across the trail, there were so many things done, and if we were going to bring in a preliminary master plan that included every lot of every neighborhood and of properties we don't even own, I want to make sure we have it right and we can get exactly what we know is there to be there. And so this is a simplification process, It's a combination of the plats, and it's basically bringing in just the property that we own so that we can continue to grow, we can continue to add improvements, we can continue to make this club thrive so that it's here not just for our generation, but for generations to come. So did that answer the question? Do I need any more clarification on it? Correct.
No.
I'm so sorry, I don't have my microphone on. No further comments or questions from this council. We will move forward with the vote. This is first reading on ordinance 01911-57. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously.
Mayor, if you remind everybody that want to speak, there is a public hearing and a second
Yeah,
reading to come
thank you.
forward.
Thank you, yes. I don't know if you came in late or not, but there is a public hearing. Thank you. All right. Does pass
Good old-
unanimously. And for those of you, I will mention again, public hearing on the 3rd of December, and then second reading will happen in January. That will also have a time for public comment. There's also public comment at the end of this meeting for items not on the agenda, so this would not qualify. Item number 10 is first reading on ordinance 01911-58, Vice Mayor Camp.
Thank you, Mayor. This is orders appropriating $37,738 for a new water treatment plant position, and this is a half a year's salary. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Camp, second by Councilman Overton. Is there any discussion? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 01911-58. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item number 11 is first reading on ordinance 01911-59. Councilwoman Love.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance appropriating $550,000 from unassigned general fund balance for the Miracle Park and Field and transferring $168,145 from various lines for the Miracle Park and Field. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Love, a second by Councilman Hayes. Is there any discussion on this? Okay, this is first reading on ordinance 01911-59. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. Item number 12 is resolution R1911-60. Councilman Fan.
This is a resolution approving a new job description for a water regulatory compliance specialist for Gallatin Public Utilities. I so move.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Fan, second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? This is resolution R1911-60. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, say no. Does pass unanimously. We've already done item number 13, so we'll move now to resolution item number 14, which is resolution R1911-62. Councilman Overton.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a resolution authorizing the engineering department to retain an appraiser to begin the process of acquiring a right-of-way at the intersection of Nichols Lane and Clear Lake Meadows Boulevard from United Church, and I so move.
Motion by Councilman Overton, a second by Councilman Alexander. Any discussion? Okay, this is resolution
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
I did just
Oh, I'm
want to
so sorry.
add that this was discussed under other business at a prior work session, but it was not on the agenda. Because it was discussed, we don't have to amend the rules, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone had a chance to look at that resolution.
Thank you. Anyone? All right, this is resolution R1911-62. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say no. It does pass unanimously. This concludes the regular agenda and brings us now to other business. And I hate to do this to you, but I skipped mayor's comments earlier in the meeting,
Good.
and so I have several things to run
We
through.
kept them, we do it next week.
Yeah, no, we're going to do them this week. First of all, I do want everyone to know this is a happy thing and one well-deserved. Yesterday at the Gallatin Chamber Luncheon, it was announced that Jim Hawkins was named the Gallatin Citizen of the Year. Will be the Grand Marshal in the Gallatin Christmas Parade. We continue to wish him well and offer our thoughts and prayers for he and our family as he is fighting a serious illness. I certainly want to mention the Gallatin Chamber, our city departments, who have helped with several events over the past several weeks, including the Tinsel and Treasures, the Veterans Day Parade, and the Harvest Craft Show, and other things too. And then there are more coming up in the coming weeks. And just a few of the things coming up in the coming weeks include something very exciting next week, which is the groundbreaking for the Miracle Park. That's happening on Tuesday at 10 a.m. I wanted to mention that Children Are People is doing a bake sale and fish fryer just prior to Thanksgiving on Wednesday the 27th. Of course, Thursday is Thanksgiving, and Friday city offices are closed as well. On Monday, the 2nd of December, we will have the Christmas tree lighting on the square, and immediately after the tree lighting, we're going to be having Tuba Christmas. That's going to start at 7 at First Baptist. Yes, I know. It's so exciting. I know. We've always had it on Tuesday. I was excited. And we think it'll be nice with the Monday, Tuba Christmas, First Baptist Church, 7 o'clock. On Tuesday the 3rd, it's Chief Williams' birthday. On the 6th, we're having the Employee Christmas Luncheon. Saturday the 7th is for the Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. It's also Christmas home tours, breakfast with Santa, Ball State show, Christmas show at Ball State. And then on the 8th of December, Sumner Regional Medical Center is celebrating their 60th anniversary, and that's going to be a big celebration there from 1 until 3. And then I'll skip to the 14th of December, just so people can mark their calendars, when we'll have the Wreaths Across America ceremony at the Gallatin City Cemetery at 10 a.m., and then the Gallatin Christmas Parade at noon, and the Merry Mantles of Rosemont that evening at 7 p.m. That concludes the mayor's comments. And now, for other business, I know that Ms. Kittrell has an item.
Yes, Mayor. I have a certificate of compliance for a liquor store that is selling, Copper Steel is selling to the applicant On the Rocks 101 LLC. The applicant is Jamie R. Knight, and she has met the qualifications. I just need confirmation from this body.
Motion to approve by Councilman Overton. Second by Councilwoman Love. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the certificate of compliance, please say aye. Opposed, please say no. Does pass unanimously.
Thank
Is there any other business from this council to come before us this evening? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to public recognition on non-agenda related items. Again, you may come forward. You have 5 minutes to speak. We ask that you introduce yourself and give us your address, please.
Good evening, it's Mr. Patrick Reeners. Since I know I'm not going to be set up for saying my name now, live at 317 Malone Drive. I think you guys have proved yourself to the citizens, and remember, you all can get voted out. You all can get voted out. I mean, I heard some conversations about being stuck in traffic. I know where an 80-year-old woman was beat up because of road rage a couple months ago. 80-year-old woman beat up on 386 because of traffic. And I'm not really a fan of road rage. I don't think it's such a good thing. Secondly, the city arguably said we can't even handle shrub pickup. This was a couple months ago. And you all want to add all these houses, and I love the smiles. It's better than the middle finger, even though that's freedom of expression. But I will tell you guys right now, I think that the citizens in this town have seen that Gallatin is at the bubble point. My houses went up $70,000 in 2 years, and I think people just need to sell. And when they sell, Green Acres sells it all, where you can build up your projects like you want to bring growth, bring tumors into the city. And I think the citizens deserve other people coming up and say, you know what? You guys need to know, Gallatin's unhit his bubble now. Houses have increased. It's going to go up so much more. People can't afford to come here. So I think that you guys should do the right thing and realize that maybe Gallatin's going to decrease after tonight. Maybe people are going to move out and realize they can get the most money for their place that they came to and get that money out of there because it's raised so much and put it on the next person so y'all can deal with it or get voted out. Have a good night.
Anyone else wishing to speak under public comment?
My name is John Emanuel. I live at 589 Harris Lane. First, I would like to say that I am a little bit disappointed tonight because of all the people that came out to say that they're not for the meadows, and you people have passed it. Second of all, I want to say that our police department is not, in my opinion, for code enforcement. I live next to Liberty Creek, and I don't know how you people passed that. There is 10, 12 feet between the property lines, and it's ridiculous.
Excuse me, Mr. Emmanuel, would you please ask for quiet in the lobby or shut the doors? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. Second of all, they were working again there Sunday. Police department was called. I don't know if they were issued a summons or not, but this is getting ridiculous. And it's like nobody is watching the hen house while the fox is taking all the hens out of it. And it just gets to the point where after a while you get sick of it. You really do. And you want to bring more development into this town when the development that you have, you can't handle. You don't know how to enforce the codes. The police department, they're great, but this is not what they should be doing. And half the time you don't know if these people are going to get a fine. If the developer got a fine, then maybe somebody would do something. But it happens all the time. I left tonight to come here. I'm about 4 miles from here. It took me 35 minutes to get here. I'm one of the people that Mr. Steve has talked about just moving here. And the reason I moved here is because I came from New Jersey. New Jersey is overpopulated. I had 2 acres of land, $13,000 a year in property tax. Now, is that what you want for Gallatin? Because if it is, keep going the way you are with the schools and everything else, and that's what you're going to have. Because it doesn't get cheaper, it gets more expensive. And with the property values going up, so does people's taxes. People that have lived here all their life will not be able to live here anymore. They will have to move and go someplace else. Not because they want to, because they cannot afford it. Also, when you have open space, you should not incorporate cemeteries, farm cemeteries, and retention basins. That is not open space. The other thing I wanted to get to is also, this town does not collect recyclables. You have recyclable centers. When you have 2,000 more people coming into this town, what are you going to do? You're going to have another recyclable center, 2 or 3. And as far as the traffic is concerned, yeah, traffic is a big deal. It's a great big deal. People who are 40 years old are in traffic, they don't like it. People who are 20 are in traffic, they don't like it either. So something has to be done with the infrastructure. Whether people want to hear it or not, it's just getting to the point where at 3 o'clock, you get off the road and you don't go anyplace. You stay home. And that's not what life is all about. Sitting home at 3 o'clock until like 6:30 at night. And I appreciate you hearing me. I don't like to complain, but you leave me no option other than to. I have respect for 2 people on this council. And I'm not going to tell you who they are because I'm not mentioning names. The rest of you, I feel, when election day comes, the people that you represent and who you let down will vote the right way and possibly will have a new council. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
I just had a question. I would like to know when the annexation audit would be complete for the citizens to review.
Okay, this is public comment time, but I bet Mr. McCord can give you some guidance after the meeting, so. Anyone else wishing to speak? All right. With that, I'll entertain another motion. We have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Overton, second by Councilman Hayes. All in favor, say aye. All right. Everyone have a lovely evening. We're adjourned. Thank you for your patience tonight, and have a good night. Be safe going home.